Happy Friday or whatever your replay day may be. This is Jamie Grace, and welcome to Fighter Fridays here at I'mAFighter.org, your weekly source of encouragement featuring the stories of everyday people who we like to call fighters. Today, I'm going to be joined by two very special guests. We're going to be talking with a little girl named Starla and her amazing mom, Deandra, and we're going to be talking about Starla's story and Starla's journey as a fighter and her family's journey as they are all fighters. And hopefully it'll be an encouragement to all of you guys as well. When Starla was only 2 years old, she was diagnosed with cancer, and her story has impacted my life ever since I heard about her story, which is, I think, right around the time that she turned 3 years old. So I really want you guys to just go ahead and listen in and just really be encouraged by this story, and maybe even understand a little bit more about cancer, a little bit more about childhood cancer, because it's something that a lot of us maybe know. We've heard, okay, childhood cancer, we've heard the word leukemia, but we don't really know a lot about what it means and what it entails. So we're going to dig into her story today, and I know that you guys will all be encouraged. I'm going to go ahead and give them a call over here on Skype. Hello.
Hello.
I see you. Yay, it's working. Hi, Starla. How are you?
Good.
You're doing good. Thanks for joining me today. Starla, you are how old now?
7.
7. I keep wanting to say that you're 5. I don't know if I'm like ready for her to be 7 years old yet. Like,
I know.
That's
She's supposed to 8. She'll be 8 in 2 more months.
Oh my goodness, Starla. What are you going to do for your 8th birthday?
A pizza party.
Oh, yes. That is
not just any pizza party, let me tell you. She wants to have it set up like a restaurant, literally, where her guests make their own pizza.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That is, I love when you ask a child what kind of party and they immediately tell you what's on the menu. Like,
yes.
Those are my favorite humans.
Yeah, that's her main thing. What's on the menu?
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's a good idea, Starla. Good idea. And so are you about to start 1st grade or 2nd grade?
2nd grade.
2nd grade. Are you so excited?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really excited? Well, you should be excited, and Mom, I'm sure you're excited too. You know, first of all, it's just exciting when your kid is growing up and they're beautiful and amazing and talented and eager about their pizza party. But for you guys especially, there was a time where you weren't really sure if you would make it to her 8th birthday or 7th birthday,
Not at all.
or even her 4th birthday. My goodness.
Exactly right.
All of this started, can you take me back to where it started? It started in the end of 2011, was it?
Yes, September 2011, she started complaining, having weird complaints of leg pains. Mm-hmm. And during that time, she was 2 years old. So, I mean, you just imagine a 2-year-old saying, Mom, my leg's hurting, and almost passing out from it hurting so bad.
Yeah.
And so we rushed her to the hospital, and that's where our journey began.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me that in the beginning, the word like leukemia was kind of in the air, but they weren't sure. What was kind of like that journey to finding out that it actually was cancer?
Well, during that time, they took her through a series of testing, and I can't tell whether I'm cutting out or not, but they took her through a series of testing. They checked for everything from sickle cell to you name it, they checked for. And leukemia was one of the last things that they checked for. And I just remember the doctor coming in, and he said, Mr. and Miss Chapman, he said, your daughter is testing negative for everything else that we've tested her for. He said, at this point, I'm afraid that it's leukemia. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How did we go, how did we go from, sickle cell? I'm thinking, sickle cell, okay, that's not good. I could probably deal with it, to leukemia, to there's no way I can deal with it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she got tested for leukemia, and Not even 2 or 3 hours after she had her bone marrow aspiration, they came back and said that it was definite. She was diagnosed September the 13th with acute myeloid leukemia.
And she was only 2 years old at that time?
That's correct. She was only 2 years old.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know, and this could be just, I'm 100% okay with saying that it's my ignorance. I did not know until I heard about Starla that a child could even be diagnosed with cancer at 2 years old.
And, and that's the funny thing, because I was aware of children having cancer from St. Jude's.
Yeah.
My eyes, that's something that happened in a faraway land. Couldn't happen to my family. Couldn't happen, definitely not to my child. That was something that you saw on TV. You sent your money to. You helped the hospital as much as possible. That's the extent that we would be affected by it. Until it hit home.
I completely can understand where you're coming from, because we see the commercials and we know that childhood cancer is real, but like you said, there's a part of your brain that just kind of disconnects from it, where you're just kind of like, oh, I wish I could help these children, and then it happens in your own home, and it's like, whoa, this is way more real than I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was that like, as a family of faith, you guys believe that, God is a healer and you believe that God is amazing. What was that moment like? And even too, because there might be, a family listening or watching that has a young child that was diagnosed with something similar, and they're wondering, can I still believe in God? Can I still assume that God loves me? What was that like on your faith with such a big diagnosis, especially at such a young age?
I'm going to say that as far as my faith goes, it was definitely a test of faith. I just remember the day she got diagnosed. I remember sitting outside of the hospital with my husband and just thinking, why? Why is this going on? Why is this happening? Why right now? Why to our family? What did we ever do? Besides, be faithful. And, one thing I come to realize is this. God will use you to tell of his goodness. And it may be in ways that we feel like we won't be able to come out of, or I'm not the one to do this, but he has his reasoning and he has his purpose for everything. And even now, even years after Starla being diagnosed, by us still being able to tell her of our journey with cancer, is manifested every day why this happened. Just being able to reach out to other people, other families that are going through this, and say, hey, look, we were where you are right now, and we stand here and tell you as a witness that you can come out of this and even stronger in your faith than you were before.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, Starla, like, I want you to know, like, you've even helped strengthen my faith, just her story. And every time I listen to, that one, exactly which story I'm talking about, that birth, those two words, every time I think about that story, it causes me to reevaluate my faith. And I want you to tell that, but just before we do, I want to go a little bit more on the medical side of things, because I want to make sure that people fully understand what you guys are going through as far as the diagnosis and as far as her health journey. So I know that she struggled. There was some at one point she was on life support and there was an issue with her heart. Can you just take me a little bit more through that journey of the specifics of not all the specifics, but just some of the health challenges she faced?
I can. During the time that Starla was getting treatments, she had already done 2 rounds of treatments, and they had told us, she's doing great. You'll be able to get out of the hospital, spend a little time with your family during Christmas. And we thought, that's excellent. We went to the Ronald McDonald House, spent Christmas there.
Yeah.
And, we just noticed that even though Starla was getting chemo, and we're used to children being tired and sleepy during chemo, that just wasn't Starla's usual behavior. She was still running around, full of energy. And I just noticed a change in her during that particular round after that particular round of treatments. And so when we returned back to the hospital, I brought it up to her doctor and I said, she's just not acting like she usually acts. And the doctor was like, well, she got a higher dose of chemo this time. I said, well, I understand that, but I feel like it's more. I said, she'll sleep all day and it's very difficult to wake her up. And he was like, look, I'm going to order some testing, and one of them is going to be an echo of her heart. And the technician came in, did the echo, and I remember sitting in the room, and about an hour passed, and they called the phone, and they said, I'm going to have to move y'all to the pediatric intensive care unit. And I remember I'm sitting there and I said, that's okay. We don't want to go to the ICU. And he was like, Miss Chapman, you don't understand. That's not an option. He said, Starla's heart has been damaged by the chemotherapy. We need her in the ICU immediately so we can administer the necessary medications. And just like him saying that we would be moved to a pediatric intensive care unit, that you would have thought that he had given us a death sentence right there. I was like, this is the worst thing that in my thought process. I was like, this is the worst thing that could happen now. She's already been diagnosed with cancer. Now we're moving to the intensive care unit. I hope we could go through this process without going in the ICU. Little did I know that, things were only going to snowball from that point on. We got to the ICU and they started giving her medications, and doctors was like, well, her heart isn't getting any better and it's not getting any worse either. So we're just going to move her back to the floor within the next couple of days, and we'll keep an eye on her then. And I thought, well, okay. Well, a couple of days before they got ready to move her, she got worse. I mean, she would just lay there. And during this time, this is where your entire CD came into play. And I remember playing several songs off of the CD. One of them, Holding On, was one. And I could sit there and just hold her the whole time, try to get her to wake up. And I'd be like, Starla, wake up. You've been sleeping all day. And she would open her eyes. She would be like, Mama, I just want to sleep. And I looked at my husband, and he was like, you're making yourself upset. He was like, just calm down. She's doing fine. And I said, no. I said, what I'm going to do, I said, you hold her. I said, I'm going to get a doctor because I feel like something's wrong. I walked out of the unit and I met with her oncologist, and I said, something's wrong in there and I need you to go check on Starla. And she was like, okay, I will. She was like, but you just go take yourself a break. She said, you've been going through a lot for the past couple of months. So just take a breather, go in the room, grab a shower. And I said, well, maybe that is what I need to do. So I remember just going into a vacant room at the hospital and literally crying and saying, God, please help me to basically keep my sanity, because so much was going on. I felt like maybe I am going crazy. Maybe I am reading too much into things because I know the diagnosis.
Yeah.
So I got myself together, said my amens, headed back to the unit, and that's where they stopped me. And they said, you can't go back there. And I said, why? And they led me to a small room, and there were doctors and nurses all around, and my husband was shaking and crying uncontrollably. I didn't wait for them to tell me anything. I just remember screaming, because I knew if he was out there, in the room, and he was crying and shaking, that something wrong had happened. And they were like, they're trying to, they didn't go into any type of details. They were just like, we're trying to bring her back. And I was like, bring her back from where? She went into cardiac arrest, and she's coded. They're trying to resuscitate her. They're doing CPR right now. And I remember trying to get up and run to the room. They were like, you can't go back there. You don't, basically they were like, you don't want to see what's going on. And so it was hours before we were even able to see her. They had done almost 10 minutes of chest compressions, which is a long time, to do that. Wow. And so they did it, and they would come and give us little updates. They'd be like, well, we got her breathing, her heart rate is at so and so and so, her pulse is at so and so and so. And so they came in and they said, we got her stable as possible. And they said, but we're probably going to have to life flight you to another hospital. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever it takes. And so we're packing our clothes. We're getting ready to go. People are giving us gift cards for a trip there. And the doctor comes in and he says, you can't go anywhere. And I said, why not? And he said, because no hospital will take her. And I said, and why is that? They said, because since she's in the middle of chemotherapy treatments, it was something like a heart transplant is what they wanted her to have right there. And he was like, it's more of a risk because she's still a cancer patient that's not done with her treatments. So if they do this procedure on her, there's still a chance of her relapsing, which, and it's more of a risk. And I said, so basically what you're saying is she's going to have to stay here and she's going to die here, right? And I remember the doctor looking at me and saying, Miss Chapman, she's already passed before. And she was like, what we're saying is you need to gather as many prayer warriors as you can because we've done all that we can do for her medically.
Man. That's like, ooh. What do you, like, I'm at a loss for words. I'm thinking, how would I react to that? I'm just being totally real. I think most people know me as being I think everyone that knows me as being very loving and happy and smiley. But I'm just trying to think my flesh.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, being told that. Like, I don't have children, but I have a goddaughter, and I actually just spent all day yesterday with her, and she's 2 years old. And I'm just thinking, if a doctor told me I have done all that I can do medically, so you better pray. As much as I believe in the power of prayer.
Tell me about it.
I pray all the time.
And it's funny because, we still see that same doctor that told us that. And she was like, do you remember what you told me that day that I told you that? I said, I vaguely remember what I told you. She was like, let me tell you what you told me. You looked at me and you told me, you go home and you let go of one of your daughters that's at home. You tell them that, because they were telling me, they was like, y'all just go in there and tell her that it's okay to go. And I said, it's not okay. It's not okay. I said, you go home and you tell one of your daughters, that it's okay to go. I said, it's not okay because I don't feel that release in my spirit to tell my child
Come on. Yeah. That, and that's the thing. It's like, as believers, we believe in the word of God. It says that there is a time for everything. There's a time to laugh. There's a time to cry. But the Lord had given you clear, case in point, Starla sitting next to you. The Lord had given you the clear word that it was not yet time to let her go.
Right, exactly.
How long was the moment before the doctor started to realize that you knew what you were talking about? Because clearly, Starla is still here with us, and I don't mean that in any disrespect, because I believe that your doctors were very hardworking, and I'm grateful for them because I'm grateful for Starla. So I believe that they're very exceptional, medical professionals. So I say that with a little bit of snarkiness, but when was that moment? When was that moment where everybody started to realize, oh, Starla's going to stick around a little while longer?
And it's funny because, it kept being a back and forth thing. 1 minute we're told she's doing great, and the next minute they're like, nah, you need to call your family to come back in. Then the next minute again, it was like, but she's doing great. And then it was like, how far away did you say your parents and your aunts and uncles live? Because they might want, and I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't hear this anymore. Till finally her heart function just started climbing up. And the cardiologist was like, okay, well, we don't get happy over a 1% increase. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you don't get happy over it, but I get happy over it.
Yeah.
And so her heart function just continued to climb and continue to climb and continue to climb till finally they were like, okay, we see that her heart is going to make a recovery. So now we need to start discussing what's going to happen with the rest of her chemotherapy treatments, because even if she does, her heart does recover, if she doesn't get the rest of her treatments, then it's almost a 100% chance that she's going to relapse because she only had 2 of the 5 treatments.
Yeah.
So after they gave us the clear that her heart was recovering, we prayed and asked God for direction as far as the rest of her treatments, and He said, "Go for it." So we moved right out of the PICU back into a room on the floor and received 2 more rounds of chemotherapy treatments after cardiac arrest. And her heart didn't skip a beat, no pun intended. Her heart didn't skip a beat. She went through those rounds with no trouble at all.
Yeah, wow.
Nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah. That is amazing. And I am guessing we're getting, timeline-wise, getting to the point where Starla's faith really started to show.
Definitely.
And Starla, if you want to tell that story, you can, or if Mom wants to tell it, because I think it's just so powerful and just speaks such volume to the faith of a child and the ability that a child really does have to have faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, actually, and this is the funny thing, the night before Starla started her first round of chemotherapy treatments, we really hadn't told her the extent of what she was going through. We did let her know that she was going to be receiving some very important treatments, and there was some nasty germs that were trying to take over her body that we needed to stay in the hospital for a while to get rid of. And she could tell that my husband and I both were upset.
Yeah.
And she looked at both of us and she was like, "Mom, Dad, it's okay. Just trust." And so throughout our journey, that became our battle cry, so to speak. That became our words of encouragement that everybody knew Starla by and our family by. It just became our words of comfort. Just trust. Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Man, that's amazing. Starla, do you remember when you told your mom and dad just trust?
No.
No. I think that's like such a cool part of it, because it's almost like it wasn't some massive moment for her. She's just kind of like, no, seriously, that's just what you have to do. Like
exactly, and that's the thing and I think that's the best part of it all. By her being 2 years old at the time, they don't know anything really but faith. They don't know, hey, this is what could be. This is what might be. All they know is, okay, I'm here. They're going to take care of me. I believe that they're going to, I believe that I'm going to be seen through this, and that's just what it is to them.
Yeah.
It's not like faith.
I love that. Starla, do you remember any of those moments, like when you were in the hospital and all that stuff? Do you remember any of that stuff, or do you just kind of forget about it now?
I remember some of the stuff, but I forgot a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. Do you think it might be a little bit scary for another little boy or another little girl if they're going through some of the stuff you had to go through?
I don't think it's scary because I went through it, and I think they can do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, Starla, you are a one-of-a-kind little person. You're such a cute little person, and you have such incredible faith. Do you know what that means when you say just trust, or does it just make sense in your brain and you don't know how to explain it?
I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah. That's so beautiful, though, because I think that you know that God loves you, right?
Always.
Always. Yeah. What else what would you tell say there's another little girl or a little boy and they're kind of scared because they have to go to the doctor a lot and they have to go to the hospital a lot. And they came to you and they said, "Starla, what should I do?" What would you tell them?
Just trust. And the Lord with all your heart.
That is the best thing you could tell them. So I'm going to be watching this video back anytime I think I'm having a bad day. Just get my emotions in check. Man. And since all of this, Starla, you guys started the Facebook page, Team Starla, and, bracelets and wristbands. And it became kind of this movement, especially in your community, but outside of your community. I know there was a football player that you guys got to get connected with, and he wore the Team Starla wristband. And that's such an incredible privilege that we have with social media, because it allows us to be able to get a message out and a word out to the masses. What's that journey been like? The journey of sharing her story online and then the response that you received.
It's been amazing, and like I said, because I joined Facebook way before Starla was diagnosed, and you would always see prayer pages and things like that, and you always think, okay, I'll become a part of that group of people that's praying.
Yeah.
And you never stop to think, maybe one day I'm going to be on the receiving end of this of one of these pages. The page is going to be for somebody I love. You never for 1 minute think that. And then for you to not only have a page, but to receive so much support like we did with Starla, never in a million years do you think so many people would be willing to just come out of themselves and pray for you, help you financially or in any way. There are people that we never met, people from other states, even people from out of the country were connected to our page and reached out to our family. We were truly blessed.
Yeah. No, that's incredible, and that's amazing that you've been able to do that. And can you give me the football player's name again that wore? I know that he wore the Team Starla wristband in his games.
Yes, AJ McCarron he was quarterback for the University of Alabama during that time.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Even though I live in Georgia, Roll Tide. Yeah, and then Starla was she in his wedding? Did I see that?
Yes, Starla was the flower girl in his wedding.
That is so sweet. That's beautiful. Well, Starla, I would say that you can be in my wedding, but there is not a groom just yet, so I don't want to give you that false hope that it will be soon. You might be 30 before it happens.
Look, and she will remember. She'll be like, Jamie Grace said that I could be at her wedding.
I know. It'll be in like 3005. Oh my goodness. And so, okay, so and Starla, where are you now? Our mom, where's Starla's health right now? What's kind of going on with her health journey, and what's the latest update?
Well, right now she continues to be in remission. September of this year will be 5 years since diagnosis, so that's a big year for anybody that's gone through been diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Importance of year 5. And we went to her cardiologist back in March of this year, I think it was, and he cleared her of all heart medications that she was on. So basically she's a normal kid with a normal heart doing normal kid things.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That just warms my heart, and I get so excited, just to see how she's doing now. And I know that there have been exceptional doctors and nurses and medical staff that worked with your family, but ultimately there is the Lord that has blessed her with this just incredible, beautiful life. And
yes,
I feel so blessed to be a small part of this life that she is living so beautifully. And I just want to make sure that I thank you guys for letting me be a part of her journey, for sure. It's a beautiful journey.
We thank you for being part of it, definitely.
Thank you. You guys are incredible. Well, what I'm going to do, if you don't hang up just yet, I'm going to go ahead and close out the show and then come right back and chat with Starla for forever, because she's the cutest kid ever, and how could I not? So I will see you guys in just a second, okay?
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me today here at I'm a Fighter. Gosh, Starla, that kid is incredible. She is such a sweet little girl, a few words, and I'm so blessed by her. You might be listening to this today, and you might not be a person of faith. You might not be a Christian, and you might kind of be like, okay, they what? Like, what in the world? Like, this is not the kind of story I want to listen to. Well, guys, here's the thing. Like I was sharing with Starla's mom, is that there are some amazing doctors and medical professionals that worked so hard on this beautiful little girl, and the research that they have done, and we're so grateful for that. And we ultimately believe that it is none but Christ Jesus that we're even able to have beautiful and exceptional things in life. And I'm so grateful to be able to know people that believe that, and that can encourage me in my walk, and I can encourage them in their walk. And I'm so grateful that you joined me today here at I'mAFighter.org. You might be listening via podcast or watching via video, but either way, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a moment. And if you'd like to share your story, make a donation, or read a host of our daily user-submitted stories, you can visit I'mAFighter.org. My name is Jamie Grace, and I will see you or talk to you or both in 1 week. Have a great weekend. Keep fighting.